Hey guys, Ricky Widmer here from Most Valuable Podcast, here to bring you our college football top 25, week number 8. We are 2 away, 2 weeks, this week, next week, and then we get our first playoff rankings of the year. So, hey, next week, this will be our last top 25 before we switch over to our 25-team playoff rankings. But if you're new to this video, how it works is myself and Brandon Swanson, we both come up with our own top 25 personal to us. Each team gets point values. For example, if UCLA is number 25, they get 1 point. If they're number 1, they get 25 points. We add them together. Team with the most points is number 1. Team with the least points is number 25. And that makes our MVP rankings. And for this video this week, we have UCLA dropping out of the rankings. They received votes, not going to get in. And Pitt would have been a newcomer. They only received 1 vote. So Pitt and UCLA receiving votes will not be in this edition of the MVP Top 25. But let's get into it. And we've got number 25 through 21. And at the bottom at 25, newcomer to the rankings, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Then at number 24, falling 10 spots, we have the Ole Miss Rebels. Number 23, the Temple Owls. Number 22, moving up a little bit, the Duke Blue Devils. And then at number 21, actually tied for number 20, the Houston Cougars. And in this 5, you've got Ole Miss, like I said, dropping 10 spots in our rankings. The loss against Memphis, Memphis, this is where... Is Memphis a for sure? Are they last year's Marshall Thundering Herd? That's what I'm thinking right now. They beat Ole Miss. That's a big resume boost. And there are going to be some people, if Memphis can go undefeated because of this win against the Rebels, people are going to say, hey, man, they should be in the playoffs, especially if there's only 4 unbeatens at the end and Memphis ends up being one of them. Western Kentucky, 1 loss on the year. They get a big win this week. They're going to get a big test against LSU this week. Let's see if they can do what Memphis did to Ole Miss. Then Temple should have been in the rankings last week. Probably my fault on that for not getting them in. They get into the rankings now. Duke moves up. Houston moves up. Boom, boom, win, win. But the next 5, the other team tied for number 20 with Houston. We have the Cal Golden Bears. Then the Oklahoma Sooners at number 19. Toledo Rockets at number 18, actually tied for 17 with the Memphis Tigers. And then tied for 15, the first team, the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And Oklahoma State getting a bye week this week. Oklahoma moving up 1 with their bye. Toledo moving up with a win. Memphis moves up from non-ranked. I had them in my personal top 25. They received votes last week. Now they get into the rankings with their win over Ole Miss. So now they're jumping non-rankings to number 17 in the MVP rankings. Good job, Tigers. And then Cal, they're staying put. Staying put right there at number 20. They'll get a big game coming up this year against Stanford, but that's the last conference game for both teams. Then the next 5, the other team tied for number 15 with Oklahoma State. You got the Texas A&M Aggies. Then at number 14, the Michigan Wolverines. Number 13, the Florida Gators. Number 12, actually tied for 11, we have Iowa and Florida State. And Florida State's a tricky team for me. I was saying on the Primetime podcast this week, they're a team I didn't expect them to be undefeated. Maybe this season, maybe up until this point, because they don't have Jameis Winston anymore. Dalvin Cook has been a great force out of the backfield, probably one of the main reasons why they're still undefeated at this point in time. Then you got Iowa. You beat Northwestern. You beat the 2 hardest teams on your schedule in Wisconsin, in Northwestern. You've got a cakewalk to the Big Ten title game if you can win the rest of those games against Maryland, Minnesota, Nebraska, Indiana, and I'm missing one, but it's probably like a team like Rutgers because they have a cakewalk all the way to the Big Ten title game. Then you have Michigan. Here's the thing with Michigan. With me, it was kind of a double-edged sword with that game. I'll get to the Michigan State side later when we get to them. But with Michigan, you played a good game. You lost it on the last snap. So you either have two ways of thinking it. I didn't have them fall too much because it was a close game. However, you could have the idea of, hey, you know what? Michigan's got to fall a lot because, hey, you should have locked down this game. You should have won, should have been moving up into the top 10 easily with this win. You didn't. You gave Sparty the W. But Michigan only moves down 3 spots, mainly because of me, because, hey, I gave Michigan more credit than I probably should have for it being close. Then you got Florida. Hey, they lost to LSU. That's a good team. They played them close, only moved back 4 spots. Then we're into the top 10, 10 through 6. At number 10, we have actually tied for 9, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Stanford Cardinal. Then at number 8, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 7, Michigan State. And at number 6, the Clemson Tigers. And I know what you're saying. Well, Ricky, Michigan State stayed the same. How'd they stay the same? Here's the deal. Here's how it worked. Brandon was on one side of the coin. I was on the other side of the coin. I moved Michigan up. Michigan State, to me, is first out. I had them number 5 in my rankings. Brandon had them, I think, at about 8 in his personal rankings. I looked at it from the side of, okay, yes, you should have lost that game, but you beat the 12th team in the country. You beat a Michigan team that shut out its 3 straight opponents coming into this game. You scored, I think it was, 27 on them. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, move you up a few spots. Not a playoff team, but I'll move you up a couple spots. Brandon was on the other side, moved him back a little bit, was more of the, hey, you should have lost this game. Wasn't a decisive win enough. Yes, you beat your rival, but you need the decisive win. That's why Michigan State stays the same in the combined. You've got Bama moving up. Stanford moves up with their, after this week, you have the Fighting Irish moving up, Clemson moving up. Everyone's moving up with wins here and there. Then it comes to the top 5. And first out, the playoffs were to start today. The TCU Horned Frogs would be staying at home. That means our top 4 is LSU, Utah, Baylor, and Ohio State. And I know what you're saying, Ricky. How is Baylor not number 1? You've been so high on them the past couple of weeks. Why is Ohio State back to being the solid number 1? And here's how I looked at this week. Did I want to put Baylor at number 1 because they put 60 whatever points on West Virginia? Yeah. But here's the way I looked at it. They also gave up 38. West Virginia 3-3 team overall. I think they're 0-3 in the Big 12. Yeah, you put 66 points up. You let an 0-3 Big 12 team put 38 points up on you. Whereas Ohio State played a 1-loss Penn State team, undefeated in the conference up to that point. They only scored 38, but they let Penn State only score 10. This was probably the best win we've seen out of the Buckeyes so far this season since they beat the Hokies to start their season off. Because of that, hey, for this week, Buckeye fans, you regain the number 1 spot in the MVP ranking. So go ahead, celebrate it up, pour one out for my homies in Baylor. But that's going to do it here for our Week 8 Top 25. Go ahead, tell us down below in the comment section, what teams do you think should be wearing them? Who was ranked too high? Who was ranked too low? Go ahead, let us know. Also, Pitt fans, Bruin fans, why weren't you guys in the rankings? You received votes, but why weren't you there? Also, if you think a team should have been in the rankings that was not, go ahead and let us know. You can hit me up on Twitter at Ricky Widmer. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. I want to thank you guys for checking out this video, and as always, have a good day, everybody.